Hi everyone, and welcome back. Thank you for joining me. So today I'm going to use this board, which is a piece of house siding. It's nice and light. It has grooves on one side and it is smooth on the other side. I'm going to be doing an alcohol ink collage. I'm going to use the grooved side because it's going to give it some nice grip. My theme is for Remembrance Day, 11th of November. So I'm going to be doing a collage of green in the background and some multi-dimensional poppies in the foreground. These are my alcohol ink sheets that I've got to cut up. I've got a few more in different shades, and I cut them up into 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch pieces. Now, because this is 1 foot by 2 feet approximately, I have got to keep everything quite organized because this is a much bigger piece than I normally do. So that's why I've split them up into sizes and I haven't got to go rummaging through a whole big pile of collage pieces looking for the right size to match it up. And the way I do this precisely, and I'm going to leave a link to a couple of videos below where I go through some alcohol process tips and cutting using my Fiskars cutting tool. But this is what I use to get really accurate. And if I see anything that looks like slightly off, like this one, I don't know if you can see, maybe I've put it down, it's narrow this end and wider this end. If I use that when I'm doing on a scale like this, the whole thing is going to be off and it has to be really, really geometric. So these are also a couple of reject little pieces. So I'm going to mark up my board, then I'll come back once I finish cutting all the pieces and show you how I begin the process, and then I'm not going to go through the whole process with you because it's available in other videos and it's going to take the best part of several hours to do this size. So I will be back shortly. I've marked up my grid on my board and I've cut out all my pieces. They're slightly off camera, but the 1 inch, 3/4, 1/2 and 1/4. And I am going to be using matte gel medium to adhere them down. I have my brush and I have my roller, which I'm not going to use on every piece, but every kind of like section I do, I will be rolling them. So I'm going to do a time lapse on the beginning and then I will fast forward in stages because, as I said, you really don't need to see me do the whole thing. The collage part, I'm going to let it dry, and I've been over the whole thing with a small roller to make sure there are no air bubbles underneath. Once it's dry, I'm going to trim the edges, all these pieces off, and I'm going to spray it with a fixative spray. And the reason you do that is to make sure the alcohol ink stays permanent or it doesn't change and start running off the Yupo paper. So once I've done that, so I can hear little air bubbles popping as I'm doing this. And as the last coat is going to be resin, it's important to get all the air bubbles out and make sure everything is adhered. Okay, so we'll come back for the next step, and the next step involves iron filings and an icing bag. I've taped the back and trimmed it. Now I'm going to paint the sides white just because there's some scuff marks. I put on a Lazy Susan so I can spin around. Now I'm going to paint the sides white. Now onto the second stage of my poppy fields. So I've got to decide where I want my poppies. I printed out some random poppies on the internet to work out really what kind of size I want. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest, and then there's some others, and I was just literally not using these as reference. I know what a poppy looks like. So I think I'm going to have just like 2 fairly good sized poppies and maybe 3 smaller ones. So the first thing I need to do is decide where they're going to go, and then use something as a template that I can draw around. Where's my pen? My brush, and this is where the iron filings will be. There. Here. 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 And here. So that's going to be my poppy field. So this is going to be interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use an icing bag to apply the poppies. Now, originally I had tried some molding paste with some like nice dark Artist Loft red, and this is what I got. It's too thin and it kind of went pinkish, so I'm not going to do that. It worked with the yellow because I guess yellow's light anyway, and I didn't really notice how the color of the molding paste was affecting the paint. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to use heavy matte gel medium, and I've already tried out and it works really well. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use a heavy body paint. And by doing that, I get like a really thick consistency. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that and fill my icing bag. And then we will apply the petals of the poppy. And that might take days to dry, by the way, but whatever. I've got tons of other projects that I'm working on. So I will be back in a sec. Okay, I have my icing bag full. Now, I'm not a master chef, although I went to a girls' school and we did cookery classes, but I do know that this kind of nozzle, you can see it, when you're using it, you have to have it's like a teardrop shape. You have to have this side down, and you use it on an angle. I've put my painting, my collage on a Lazy Susan, so I can turn it around, and I just hope my big head doesn't get in the way, because goodness knows how this is going to be. So let me see. I think I need to, okay, let's try one. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try one on the plate first. I need to go out around like that, and then I'm going to squish it with the palette knife. Okay, I'll do the squishing after I've done the petals. All right, see, fat side down first. One. And do the one on this. Oh, you can't see. I can't. I'm going to have to try and do it in the frame. Keep still. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take it off the Lazy Susan because now I realized if I turn it, you can't even see anyway. So it's just going to have to work. Cute! And this is my biggest poppy. I really hope this doesn't take forever to dry. Okay, there's poppy one. Yeah, maybe I could get a job as a master baker. Poppy two. This is just going to be a little one. I guess I could change the nozzle, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do this one. It's just going to be a little poppy. Now the fun begins. I have iron filings. I'm going to put in the center of each poppy. You don't need a lot. Done that one, done that one, done that one. And I have 10 of these magnets. They literally have a mind of their own. I managed to finally separate 8 of them. 2, I can't do that. So I think I'm going to bring you down just to the poppy area to see this. Oops. Tilt you up a bit. There. So I'm going to take each magnet, I'm going to put it under each poppy. Like 2 minutes ago, I had 2 magnets stuck either side of my finger. So let's begin with the big poppy. All right, there's enough now on there that's holding the magnet. So that's that one. Well, let's do this one. That's interesting because I'm doing it on this wood board. Let's see here. There. Isn't that cool? I need a lot more iron filings to make the magnet stick. And the reason I need the magnet to stick, it's what's going to keep the iron filings kind of stuck up. Here's a good tip. Once your resin has mixed, it's a good idea to just let let it rest for 10 minutes. And I've been mixing this for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. I always add on a couple of minutes because when resin doesn't work, it's either because it's not mixed properly or you didn't have the right ratios. And I know it can be confusing when resin says mix 1:1 ratio by volume or by weight. So volume's very different from weight. So for example, a ton of feathers weighs the same as a ton of lead. But a ton of lead by volume is tiny compared to the volume of a ton of feathers. I know, that sounds crazy, but what I do, I use a digital scale, I set it to fluid ounces, and that's how I measure my resin. And I never, ever have a problem. It's never sticky, it dries rock hard, and so now my magnets are tied in place. All I'm going to do on this is very gently trickle some resin onto the iron filings and around them. I'm not going to do anything else until this sets. My poppies are covered in resin. I am just going to let them rest overnight so that the iron filings can get really stiff, and then I can remove the magnets and resin the rest of the painting. Right, the next morning, this is all spiky and hard, which means I can remove the magnets. So the thing with these magnets is they are extremely strong. And I have had problems where I can't even separate them. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put a piece of plastic between each one, because the next time I use them, oh! Okay, so, it snapped it. Wow. I'm going to slide that back in there though. Do magnets snap? That was weird. Oh well, I've got 2 magnets for the price of 1. Wow. Anyway, you get how strong they are. I'm almost scared to do this. Oh. So I have 10, I've got them, and I literally keep them far apart from each other because they are that strong. And I've got 2 that I cannot separate. Oh, God, that's scary. So, oh. All right, that's my magnets done. Let's get on with the resining. Okay, I have about 8 ounces mixed in here. I'm just gonna pop the bubbles on the top. And first of all, I'm gonna just drizzle this on the petals because the petals sit quite proud of the board and I want them to stay that way. Now, a lot of this I'm going to do by hand, meaning with my hands. Poppy petals. The rest is going to go on in between them. So let's put that down for now. Let's rub these on. I don't want puddles forming in my petals because they do kind of dip. I was debating about whether to tape the sides and not have resin on the sides, but I've changed my mind. I think it'll look nicer with some resin over the edges. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna babysit it for a while. A couple of spots there. And then we will come back tomorrow and it will be finished. It's finished. I'm gonna bring you down for a closer look. And you can see how multi-dimensional the poppies are. This one, let me touch it. It's like at least half an inch. Here. So I hope this has been an inspiration. Thank you so much for watching and come back and see me again soon. Bye.